Hey, everybody. Welcome to Game Mess Mornings presented by MSI with me, Jeff Grubb, your host from GiantBomb.com. Thank you for tuning in. In this episode, we're going to be talking about reviews season being upon us and shrinkflation making new PlayStation 5s worse. It's going to be a good one because we have Jason Fanelli on the show. Jason, how are you doing?
I am Jim Dandy. It is one day before the season starts.
That's
We're
right.
almost there, and I am very excited to put that jersey back on. And I have a plea for you, Mr. Detroit Lions fan.
Hold on, what can I do for you?
I put a lot of stock fantasy football in the Lions.
Yeah,
Don't screw this up for me.
I did too. Like when I had the opportunity, when it made sense in my draft, I definitely picked up some. I was I just missed out on Amon-Ra St. Brown, which is the one I really wanted. But oh well. No, listen, the offense is going to be good this year. Like I have very little doubt about that. So it's all going to come down to whether they could stop anyone on defense, and who knows. They're going to score points though. So yeah, and I think they're going to be trying to prove something because Ben Johnson's gone, and they're like, well, look, Ben was great, but that's not what made us great. So I think they're going to have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. So I think they're going to show off a little bit on offense this year, and they have, of course, all of the weapons to do it. So you and me both are going to be Ryan. I got Jared Goff as my quarterback, so I'm hoping.
In one league, I have the Goff Laporta stack.
Okay,
and in the other league, I can just have Laporta. So. Okay. I am hoping that you guys do pretty good. What did I pay in that auction draft for Laporta? 22, probably one of the three highest tight ends in the auction draft.
Yeah, you were telling me about this auction draft, and now I'm like, that sounds pretty cool. I like the sound of that.
It is fascinating. Yeah. It's just a bunch of people screaming numbers for 3 hours, but the rosters end up pretty fun.
I like playing around with economic systems in like safeguarded spaces and stuff like that, and that sounds like a fun way to do that.
Yeah.
All right, let's explain what we do here. We're Giant Bomb. You can go to giantbomb.com/join and become a premium member. It makes you part of our family here and enables us to do the things that we do. We really appreciate all the support that we have gotten. Just thank you to everybody who has come through and become a premium member. It's always awesome to see, this person signed up. This stuff is happening, and it means the world. When you do that, you get ad-free episodes, you get some special goodies. We have more stuff in the works. I think we're going to try to do like a bonus voicemail for the voicemail dump truck this week. That's the plan anyhow. At least that's going to be in the works here soon. So if you're a premium member, you can get that. It's going to be awesome. As far as this show goes, most weekdays, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings or find the RSS feed on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. Shouts out to Sean for those timestamps. We have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess with Daemon X Machina, Titanic, Scion reviews. Actually, we got a trio of review roundups here to start the show. So let's start with this one that has a 71 on OpenCritic. This is a sequel to Daemon X Machina, the Switch game that eventually went to PC. I think this one's on both Switch and PC at the start. Might be elsewhere, but I know it's on those platforms. It got a 9 out of 10 from blogger Ollie Barter, who posted this on as a contributor on Forbes. Daemon X Machina, Titanic, Scion is an open-world mecha action sequel set 300 years after the original. Players pilot arsenals, customizing them with loot, credits, and scrap. Combat is faster with new boost mechanics and orbit lock-on. The story is improved with better characterization and a Coliseum arena mode. New features include heavy armors and character upgrades via fusion. That's like a new system, I guess. However, the game lacks new player onboarding, includes unnecessary content like card games and vehicles, and has less impressive character designs. Its main flaw is a lack of focus, burying great content. Despite issues, they considered it to be a great game overall. I did hear there were some performance issues as well. Some of these reviews bring it up, some of them don't, and the performance issues extend beyond the Switch. It sounds like issues with the game itself, Jason. I'll read this other review real quick from PJ O'Reilly at Nintendo Life, who gave it a 6 out of 10. Daemon X Machina, Titanic, Scion is a decent mech game with plenty of depth in its weapons, setups, and lots of cool loot to discover in its large open world maps. The combat is flexible, it's fast, and it's very often plenty of fun. However, performance issues which are also present on other platforms, so don't sweat it too much. Switch 2 owners make for a janky experience in places with mushy controls and limp feedback. It's just not nearly as polished as it could be in this respect, with stutters loading into new areas and low-res textures, a common sight, again, also on other systems. The overall feeling here is of a game that needs a few patches and tweaks to get it to where it needs to be. I like mechs, and I'm always looking for another mech game, but part of me is like, I will be happy going back and replaying Armored Core 6 for the rest of my life. That's like a perfect game to me. I love it so much. So I'm kind of comparing all these games to that. And Daemon X Machina never quite reached the threshold of like, I'll go check it on that. It always was like, slightly less than. And I was hoping Titanic Scion would sort of be this culmination and bring all these pieces together and really make it work. And it sounds like in some ways it is exactly that, except for the performance, which is really seemingly dinging it in a lot of these reviews. Any interest in Daemon X Machina?
I was very surprised when this game even had a sequel announced.
Sure.
I really didn't think I didn't think it was on the radar enough to get that, but maybe they saw in your line of thinking Armored Core 6 and thought, hey, maybe we can iterate on this a little bit, learn some things from this and bring it to our game. And I don't know, limp feedback is not something you ever want to hear in any situation. No. So I fear that this one may also become very dusty very fast. It'll just kind of happen. It'll come out. The people who like it will like it, and then off it will go. To be frank, I remember this being the case with the first one too. It just kind of showed up. Yeah. Did its thing. It came out in 2019, I think, 2020, something like that, and then disappeared. The PC port happened, and we all went, oh, okay, and now here we are. So this is about where I expected it to be, that 70, 71 range. I didn't expect it to blow anybody out of the water. Unnecessary content like card games. Ollie, you and I have to have a chat. But I mean, I don't think the rest of the reviews are going to be this divisive. Like we have a 9 and a 6. I think everybody else is going to be like, yeah, it's here. Great. Why not?
And that's 7 range. Yeah. I think that, the one odd thing here to me is it feels like this game could be a winner if they would have taken some extra time to avoid the performance issues specifically. If they would have just figured that out. So why rush it out? Why put it out? And I get it. Like they want to have it, there maybe before some other games come out, Silk Song, a handful of other things, so that they didn't know when Silk Song was coming out, but they want to be out before the holiday rush. And it's like, I just don't know if that was the right move here, but also it's a small publisher, right? It's Marvelous. They were like, let's get it out there. It's good enough.
And something to be said about coming out so early in the Switch 2's life cycle that maybe they're looking to strike gold with early adopters who are looking for something to play in the interim.
Yes, definitely.
But I think Silksong might have put pay to that, unfortunately, as well. I'm not going to say that this is like a Horizon Zelda situation where Horizon keeps coming out when Zelda games come out or around big titles, but it looks like this one just may appear and then, like I said, appear and disappear, and then we'll be on to the next one, which is unfortunate. It seems like the kind of game that, if you're really into the first game, you might enjoy this second one given and be able to forgive those flaws, which is what I'm kind of getting from this 9 out of 10 review. But if I'm going to wait for the obscure, weird action game with mech overtones, I'll wait for another Astral Chain. That game rules.
Yeah. I do wonder if there's a chance that Platinum and Nintendo will go back and update Astral Chain. We'll see. There's no word of that. But probably not. Okay, second review out of 3 here. Cronos, the New Dawn reviews are in. 80 on OpenCritic. That is pretty impressive. An 80 on OpenCritic. I forgot to count how many reviews, but there were a handful. There was quite a few. It got an 8 out of 10 from Mark Delaney at GameSpot. And I'll say, this is one that doesn't have a lot of spread. It's a lot of 8s. There are some 7s, a couple of 9s. When I was scrolling through, it was the bulk of them are right in this, where the OpenCritic score is, right in that 8 out of 10, 4 stars, that range. Mark Delaney at GameSpot says, Bluebird team follows its Silent Hill 2 remake with an original horror story that is tense throughout, though sometimes too punishing. And then Steve C. at the Sixth Access gave it an 8 out of 10 as well, and said, Cronos, the New Dawn is a great new survival horror property, and I hope we see more of the Traveler's adventures in the future. The clear influences from genre legends are combined with some original touches to make a game that feels familiar, but also manages to innovate and surprise players too. The intriguing narrative, the enjoyable progression, and the challenging combat all combine to make an experience that cements Bloober's place as horror specialists. Um, I think you and I are both scaredy cats, not ones that are usually seeking out the spooky games. I want to play them. I'm always curious about them. Cronos would have to be one where I'd have to make an excuse, and it's like at 80 out of 100, it's one where it's like I might force myself to make an excuse to play this game, maybe on content or something like that, or maybe I'll sit along with someone else while they're playing it. I'm more curious now after that just sounds like a solid response to this game from critics. What do you think?
Part of me was afraid that the critical acclaim of Silent Hill 2 Remake was a lot more about nostalgia than it was about the actual quality of the game. And this sort of gets rid of those fears, right?
Yeah.
The fact that they were able to bounce back with an original game so quickly and to get these scores. Now, people will hear 80 on OpenCritic and be like, oh, it's just an 80. It's not the best game ever made, because numbers are so important to them. But considering where they were,
yeah,
with their previous titles,
getting an 80 is a hard thing to do. People need to recognize that. Yeah,
it really, really is. But like, I'm interested in this too because as much as I am a scaredy cat, as you mentioned, I find the worlds of these horror games fascinating. Like, I didn't play a lick of Dead Space because scaredy cat, but I have done extensive research on that world because I just find it so fascinating. Five Nights at Freddy's is it's more tamer horror, but the overarching lore around that is a minefield, but also very interesting. I hope that this reading the intriguing narrative, that pulls me in immediately. I don't know if I'll play it. If I do, I may take my tried and true method of watching a Let's Play on YouTube first in the scene that I'm in, so I know where the jump scares are, and then playing the part and be like, you can't scare me. I have nerves of steel. And so I can get this story. That would be fine. But yeah, I am very positive on Bloober, high on Bloober at the moment. This is great for them. And there may be a story better told by someone else, not by me, of their history, starting out as like a middling, less than average developer of these horror games and slowly finding their voice and their method, having Silent Hill 2 Remake be like, look, we're here. We know what we're doing now. And then Cronos right behind it showing we can do the original stuff too. I think this is good for them. And I think they're only... because they're doing another Silent Hill remake, right? That's the rumor. They're doing 3.
Yes, I think they might go back to 1 first.
Might back to 1.
Yeah, because 1 and 3 are related. 2 stood on its own. I'm not a Silent Hill fan. I'm going from memory. I think this is right. So I think the plan is now to go to Silent Hill 1 and then maybe 3 at the same time. I can't remember actually the exact details, but yes, I think the plan is to go back to 1 first.
Okay, but either way, I think it bodes well for that and any future original games that they have as well. Good stuff, Bloober.
All right, and then the third one here, Open Critics score of 78 for Everybody's Golf Hot Shot. This is, or Hot Shots, I should say. This is the new one people have been waiting for, but not developed by Clap Hands, the team that did Clap Hands Golf, and a bunch of the Hot Shots before this, or Everybody's Golf games. But people seem to be mostly okay with this one. There's some high reviews and some low reviews. 78 overall, though. 6 out of 10 from Roland Ingram at Nintendo Life, who says, Everybody's Golf Hot Shots carries on the series traditions with solid courses, a robust character leveling system, and the appropriate level of silliness. However, the experience is uneven on Switch. Fans may enjoy it in short bursts, but technical issues and patchy presentation stop it from being the standout entry it could have been. Got a 90 out of 100 from Casey Sheld at Gamers Heroes, who says Everybody's Golf Hot Shots is the definitive arcade golf game with countless golfers, caddies, courses, and modes just waiting to be explored. And then it got 3 stars from Yasmin Hubbard at Final Weapon. I think they have a 5-star system. Everybody's Golf Hot Shots offers an addictive gameplay loop with its simple 3-button press system, which allows players of all skill levels to pick up and play. However, its lackluster graphics and course design leave a lot to be desired. So, yeah, it sounds a little disappointing, and maybe in part of that is the technical side, which Man, it's like this is one that should not be having issues on the Switch, right? The Switch on the, like maybe it's like maybe this is on Switch and Switch 2, but either way, it's like if I'm playing this on Switch 2, I want it to run fantastic. I don't get it with like so many of these games being problems. But like, where are you at with everybody's golf hot shots? This is one I was kind of looking forward to. I've not played a lot of hot shots before. I was always a Mario Golf guy. I was going to hop in on this one, but I was going to wait for the reviews, and now I'm like, if I have time.
I am also a Mario Golf guy, and I have a feeling if I play it, it's just going to make me want more Mario Golf. Also, if you wear anti-Nintendo tinfoil hats, that's why it's not running right on Switch. They're making it in Mario Golf, or they're sabotaging. But as chat reminds me, you need to go in with a slight grain of salt because, and this is a quote, some game textures were created using generative AI with supervision and revision by the developers. Details of this Gen AI usage can be found below. Tree and leaf textures in the golf courses were created using AI generated images.
Yeah, that I think that is, so whenever they say tree and leaf, I think they might be referring to speed tree, and that is just that, like, which is something developers have used for forever. If they are using it on other stuff, then I would be worried. But if it's just tree and leaf stuff that they're referencing specifically, I do think that's that speed tree tool that developers, again, have been used for like a decade now. A speed tree's been used in games.
So it's part of the conflation between AI and generative AI. That's
and like just procedural tools and algorithms and stuff like that. All that stuff is in a bucket together. But it's usually like replacing artists creating content for your game. Is like SpeedTree's been doing that forever, but it was saving time of person after designing 5,000 different trees.
Okay, so more research is needed. If it's just SpeedTree, maybe we'll give it a shot.
Yes, exactly. And procedural tools, I thumbs up for those, right?
Yes,
but it's like, there's probably a room in there for them to take advantage of that stuff as well. Either way, this is one, I was hoping to play it on the Switch. Hopefully they clean it up and it'll be better on there, but I'm just sick of a game coming out and saying that, like, well, maybe it'll get some patches to run well on the Switch too. I'm not going to throw that at the feet of the developers. Maybe that's because Nintendo isn't providing enough of their software development kits, and so people are developing things for the Switch 1 for longer than they intend to, and then they try to port it to the Switch 2 at the last minute, and they're not able to get it across the finish line because of that. Yeah. All right, let's do this. Let's take a break, and then we're going to come back, get to the headlines. I want to get Jason's opinion on some Roblox news because he's always good for that. If you want to skip out on this, of course, you go to giantbomb.com/join, become a premium member, get the ad-free version of the show. We'll be right back. Jan, my computer's sick. I've decided it's time to start building a new one. I just don't know where to start.
Grubb, if your computer is sicky poo, you got to start with MSI, which just dropped something big in its brand new Z890 and B860 Intel motherboards.
Are those the motherboards that unlock the power of the Intel Core Ultra Series 2 CPUs?
Yes, sir. These Mobos, as we're calling them on the streets, are powerhouses for gaming, streaming, and whatever intense tasks you need to throw at them.
Okay, but Jan, you know me. I'm scared of tools. That screwdriver's so sharp.
It's okay, bud. MSI made them Jeff-proof and maybe Dan-proof as well, which means they're easy to work with. No more wrestling with tiny little screws or confusing manuals. We're talking easy debug LEDs that tell you exactly what's going on. Toolless installs for your M2 drives and GPUs, or GPUs. We're calling them GPUs too now.
Okay, hell yeah. Oh, okay, yeah. MSI has that modern BIOS as well that looks like it was actually made for humans to use, not some relic from 2003. Give me more of that.
Yes, that's right. It's going to be so easy to get secure boots on the ground. It's like PC building on easy mode, Grubb. And here's the best part. Giant Bombcast listeners, MSI is giving you 10% off these new regularly priced Z890 and B860 boards. Just head over to us-store.msi.com and use promo code BOMBCAST at checkout. Boom, instant savings.
I'm going to stack that discount. They allow you to do that. And with MSI's got ongoing promotions, that's potentially going to score me up to $120 in Steam codes. It's basically free games just for upgrading. Everyone listening should do the same.
So if you're ready to upgrade your setup, do not wait. Visit us-store.msi.com and use the code BOMBCAST, BOMCAST, all in lowercase, and give your PC the upgrade it deserves.
MSI, making PC building less of a headache and a lot more fun.
Mobo!
All right, we are back. It's Game Mess Mornings. Jason Fanelli, Jeff Grubb. We're getting back into it. Let's hit this one that I didn't put on the rundown. Someone mentioned it in chat. I missed it. This happened about an hour ago, I think, or at least that's where this news story I see comes from. And this is actually from let's see, what is the website? StockTitan.net, who's tracking stock prices. Roblox is a very popular stock worth a lot of money. We'll see how long that lasts. But Roblox is getting a new rating system to sort of protect its value because people are worried that maybe kids are accessing content that is age inappropriate. Well, to address this, they are now working with the IARC, or the International Age Rating Coalition, to enhance global age and content ratings for its platform. This move replaces Roblox's internal content maturity labels with region-specific ratings from trusted agencies. So this will now include the ESRB, PEGI in the UK and Europe, USK in Germany, GRAC, GRAC in Korea. That's one we've talked about before. And then there's others in places like Brazil, Australia, Taiwan, Saudi Arabia, Indonesia, and Russia. It says the benefits for families, provides greater clarity and trust for parents and players regarding age-appropriate content, aligns with local cultural norms and safety standards, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I think what this really does is what the ESRB was always meant to do, and ESRB being the one that I'm most familiar with, so it's the one I'm going to use, which is to sort of wash the industry in a way and protect it from outside regulations, which is the exact concern that Roblox has right now, because people keep bringing up, hey, this is a haven for pests and for predators and for content that is inappropriate. It's like I think last time you were on the show, we had some story about Roblox removing all sexually suggestive stuff, and we were both like, why was any of that in there in the first place? What are you talking about? So I guess the ESRB going on there being like, this is M for mature in Roblox. That's fine. This does not solve the problem of Roblox to me, Jason, where it's like, it's about the interactions between people's online and people adults being like, hey, come into the bathroom of my Roblox thing, my Roblox game here, something we talked about last time as well that apparently was happening. And now Roblox is finally doing something about it now that it's getting attention for being this negative bastion for predation. You are a famous Roblox lover, Jason Fanelli. Tell us your feelings on this.
My favorite game of all time. It's a fucking Band-Aid on a severed limb. That's what it is.
Uh-huh.
What the fuck are we... What? ESRB now? Now you want to consult the ESRB? Not 5-6 years ago when kids started flooding your platform during a pandemic where they had nothing else to do. Now you're going to ask what the ESRB rates your games, and PEGI and USK and GRAC and all those other ones. I am on record sharing my displeasure with this platform. And let me just say, what the fuck is wrong with these people? I'm trying to be quieter. I don't know if I'm trying to be a little quieter. I believe my wife is on a work meeting up just above me, and these floors are paper thin. So I'm trying.
No, if you're conveying the rage at an appropriate tone. We feel it still. Don't worry.
So, I don't understand. Was it just, I guess it was just money. Money was the reason that they were like, we're not going to protect these, the Michael Jordan meme, fuck them kids, money. Like, what the fuck, what are we doing? How does it get to this point? And why does it take all these lawsuits for them to be like, maybe we should do something? The story that came out by, it was on Wired. So I want to say Cecilia D'Anastasio, very sorry for butchering that last name. I might have the author wrong, but it's the most recent one. And it talked about the hundreds of lawsuits that were coming. And I finally saw videos and screenshots of the things with blurs and stuff like that, of the things that were happening in this game. Jesus fucking Christ. Are these parents just unattentive? Like, if I'm walking past my kid and I see their tablet or whatever they're using, and I'm seeing this Lego looking deformed dude moving in like a smooth gyro. I'm like, what the fuck is that? What's happening here? If I see the screen and it looks like they're in a bathroom, what the fuck? I immediately am looking at this like, yo, what is this? What the hell is this? What's the matter with you? Like, it's basic parenting. This is the parent going to the store and buying Grand Theft Auto for their kid, but in a whole new way, in a whole new, far more dangerous way, honestly, because Grand Theft Auto, back in the day when this was an issue, you'd buy the game, they'd play the game, and that was it. Granted, they shouldn't be playing the game anyway, but that was basically it. They just had their own game on their own console. The content of the game was it. Now, you have a kid getting access to these encounters or whatever I don't even fucking care what they're called. They could be called whatever. And with strangers and talking to strangers via chat and sometimes voice. And it's just, it's got to go. It's got to go. The only thing that needs to happen to this platform is it has to fucking go. Now, I know that there's too much money in it and it's never going to happen. And you can tell that the sharks are circling. Have you turned on Fortnite lately? Have you turned on Fortnite lately?
I've not.
Where the top thing. So it used to be Battle Royale, Zero Build, Fortnite Festival, and all the things that they've made.
Now it's Roblox.
The top thing is fucking brain rot. Steal the brain rot. 400,000 people.
And it's like structured the same way as like the Roblox platform of like, here's like 10,000 people playing this UEFN game or whatever.
Yep.
And it's all presented the same. But they all want to have their metaverses. They all want to have their platforms like Roblox. That's the model.
But it's a slippery slope because clearly Roblox got there by nefarious means. And if you want to ape that, if you're going to try and ape the financial success, you need to have a completely different approach when it comes to security and protection for your underage users, or else you're going to be the next Roblox and not the way you want to be. Just get it fuck out of here.
It's a gold rush in all the ways, including all the ways in which it is inherent with risks and people being like, we'll figure out the safety concerns later. We got to stake out our land first and get to the gold, and then we'll stop people from dying at some point once we get all the money. And it's like, you're right. It is, the stock price is up 112% in the last 6 months. It's more than doubled in the last 6 months. So people are very intent on ensuring it continues to go in the direction that they want it to go. And the reason it's successful is because of the very thing that parents don't understand, that it is powered by user-generated content that the platform can take money from. So it has this infinite content generation side of it that will just keep fueling itself as long as the game has a certain number of players. And that's a cool business model. That's what everyone wants to get in on. But no one's fully sort of realized that the people who are consuming this are too young to understand the ramifications of that. And that their parents are not used to this world. They're used to a product you buy that is put out by a corporation, and you have a certain expectation that the content within has been overseen by they have millions of lawyers, and they don't want to get sued, and so they're not going to do anything risky. And it's like, well, no, they're actually kind of playing fast and loose with this idea of, if I run a user-generated content platform, the DMCA that provides the sort of buffer zone of, if someone on the platform does something bad, someone can complain about it and I can take it down and I don't have to have any liability about it. And it's like, okay, that is great for First Amendment style, like speech platforms where it's like someone said something terrible or violated copyright or whatever. And then someone comes to you and says, hey, that's my copyright. Can you please take it down? And the platform takes it down to like, okay, we didn't know it was there, but we're going to respond to that. I think that works fine. In terms of reaching out directly to kids with content and letting them commingle with people that you do not control, it feels like, okay, no, we are now playing fast and loose and creating a situation in which we don't fully, again, understand the ramifications of what's happened here. And they're trying to put the Band-Aid on top of this bleeding stump, like you said, of, if we just present it in the right way and say that we're being responsible and going to the ESRB, the ESRB, you recognize these letters on game boxes. It's just like that. It's not like that. That's not what is being put into this box.
No, and not only that, I would argue that parents don't recognize the ESRB because they're different letters. When I worked in gaming retail back in the late 2000s, I would always explain the rating systems to people as it's the same as movies with different letters. E is G, E10 plus is PG, T is PG-13, M is R. They are equivalent, but they're just different letters, different figures on this. And people still didn't get it. They still didn't understand that that they're exactly the same, just with different letters, and you can see on the back of the box why those things are there. Do these Roblox games have the list of modifiers or list of what's the word that ESRB uses? Labelers, excuse me, like
Sure.
cartoon violence or realistic violence or those things. Are they there too, or is it just 17 or M or whatever? So it's not enough. It's not enough. And unfortunately, and I want the only way to protect your kids on these platforms is to know what the fuck they're going on. It's going to create. It's going to require hands-on parenting. I say to my kids all the time, why can't we play Roblox? Because your dad knows better. Your dad follows this stuff. He knows what's going on, and he knows it's not for kids and it's not for you. Be a parent. I don't want to get too on the parenting platform here, but there's a difference between being your kid's best friend and your kid's parent. There are similarities. There is connective tissue there, but eventually you have to be the parent and not the best friend and protect them from shit like this. And the only way to do it is to not let them on there. And that's it.
Yep. I think that, this is one more tool in the parents' toolbox, and hopefully that does help some of them out there. But, this company knows what it's doing, and it knows what it's taking advantage of, and it knows that's what it's built its value on. So them finding creative ways to protect that, I'm not surprised by that, but I hope regulation does come in and kind of stamps this out a little bit.
And it also knows that it's taking the least steps possible to try and drag this out. Hey, look, we did this. Oh, it didn't work. Oh, hey, we did this. Oh, that didn't work, until eventually somebody says, clearly you don't give a shit. We're coming in.
And let's be clear. We know that they know what would work, and they don't do it because it would either cost too much money or it would cost them to not make as much in revenue. And it's like they see that and they're like, we know what we could do, because they have all the data. They're using all that data to track these things and to make the game more addictive and more playable. They know. So, the fact that they aren't going that extra mile, it just comes down to they'll have to be forced to do that. And I hope that's where we end up.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep going here. Take-Two was reportedly in talks to fund and publish Perfect Dark Reboot, the one that got canceled by Microsoft. This is from Sophie McAvoy at gamesindustry.biz. Take-Two Interactive was reportedly in talks to fund and publish the initiative's Perfect Dark Reboot following the closure of the developer in July. That's according to Bloomberg, with sources telling the publication that the deal ultimately fell through, resulting in layoffs as the game's co-developer Crystal Dynamics the game's co-developer Crystal Dynamics last week. So basically the idea was going to be that Take-Two would take over this game and take over the IP, and that they would fund the game, and Crystal Dynamics and Embracer, Crystal Dynamics still an Embracer, would see the game through, and the initiative would not be involved anymore because the initiative's been closed. But Crystal Dynamics would finish out the game. It fell through, it seems like, because in part of the transferring of the IP from Microsoft over to Take-Two, they could not agree about the long-term ownership of the IP, where it's like, I'm sure Take-Two was like, well, if we're going to do all this, we want Perfect Dark in perpetuity. And Microsoft's like, well, we don't sell IP, we just buy IP. So you can have it for now, but it's going to return to us if you don't make a game in 5 years or something like that. We're going to get it back. And it's like, I bet that was a big sticking point. Sounds like that was a big sticking point. And I'm not surprised that that's what broke it down, because selling IP, despite what Ubisoft did with Atari last week, that's a very rare thing to happen in any industry. And it's a shame because, man, I would really like to have seen this game. I would have really liked the people at Crystal Dynamics, obviously, to keep their job, to keep making this thing that they've been working on for years, Jason.
Yeah, even finding out after the fact that 2024 Xbox Showcase demo was basically bullshit. Yeah. It did look like a lot of fun bullshit. I would have had a lot of fun playing that game. The job loss is also unconscionable in an industry that is filled with job loss. It absolutely sucks. And the fact that the main reason for this is a squabble over IP. It's such a microcosm of everything that we're dealing with, both as a gaming industry and as a whole. And isn't it one argument about ownership of a name creates all of this chaos? It astounds me that that's how the world works. I would have liked to have played it, but more importantly, as you said, I would have liked Crystal Dynamics to have kept those employees who were working on it. Also, it is not lost on me that something falls through and Embracer is involved somehow. It just seems to be like what they embrace, failing. It seems. This was like a bit of a gut punch when I saw the initial report from Jason Schreier at Bloomberg yesterday. To see that headline and then read what actually went into it, it just sucks. People have been clamoring for Perfect Dark to come back forever. They had hope in 2021. That hope reached a fever pitch in 2024, just to be flushed down the toilet for corporate money wanting is just, it's a pain in the balls.
Yeah, and it's a shame because it's like, it's not impossible to see these companies make the move to try to save jobs and save a game. But Square Enix basically just let IO Interactive go and be on their own, right, years ago, and they're like, hey, just, this isn't working out. We're not going to do Hitman anymore. We don't care. But we're not trying to end you or anything like that. So I don't know what the details of that were. It seemed mostly like that it was just an amicable split, and they just went in separate directions without a lot of problems. Although, having gone through stuff like that before, it's like I know there's a lot more to it than that. I'm sure there was, but it seemed like Square Enix was willing to play ball and ensure that studio was able to continue. And so it's like, you like to see stuff like that happen. And I think that's an easy PR win. I just think that's the thing we should realize is that Microsoft was once very interested in PR wins. They were, when they weren't putting out a lot of games, they were putting out a lot of news stories and feel-good quotes from executives to try to keep the positive news cycle going, with the idea of that, one day, we'll have the games to back all this up. We're going to have a game a quarter, and we're going to bridge this gap by just kind of keeping things positive and making people think we're the good guys. And I think this should shine a light on they are not interested in that anymore, because they were never really interested. It was only ever just a strategic play. And that strategic play has played out, and they're not going to do it anymore, because it's like, look, we're going to make our money from Minecraft, from Call of Duty, from King, a handful of other things, and fuck the rest of it. Whatever happens with the rest of it, no skin off our back. We're focused on AI now. That is being nice to gamers is done. Who gives a shit? And I get it. Yep. Don't have to be nice to gamers. But there's definitely something to be said for pretending to be a good guy enough to save some jobs. I wish we were still there, even though I know it was always fake. It's just a shame. Sure. But it's important to realize that this is where Microsoft is right now. So yeah, they're the bad guys once again, just like they always were, and they're not even willing to pretend that they're not anymore.
Yeah, they stopped giving a shit about PR once the whole Azure thing came out, right? They don't care. They don't care anymore, and that's why people are boycotting them. And it's a shame. It's a real shame. Even though it was a strategic play, it was nice to have some good news once in a while, a smattering of decency amongst the shit. But even that apparently is below them now, and they're just going to do whatever the fuck they want and laugh at us while they walk to the bank.
We're going to continue on here. Nintendo's latest Switch Online news could have just confirmed a major leak. This is from Andy Robinson at VGC. Yeah, this was interesting to see. Nintendo's latest Switch Online game announcement might have just confirmed a potential leak of upcoming N64 games from earlier this summer. In July, many fans believe Nintendo accidentally revealed its slate of upcoming Nintendo 64 games planned for NSO after they dissected a blurry box images featured in an official Nintendo video. Basically, they were showing off new features for N64 NSO. They paused and went to a menu, and that menu behind it had the blurred list of games. And it's you're supposed to be looking at the menu, but you could see this blurred list of games where you couldn't really make out anything unless you take the full cover and kind of compare it and see these splotches of color match up exactly with this one. So this, blurry image for this box, that's Glover, which is one of the games that is part of this list. Other ones include, let's see here, they included Forsaken. I think there was, Super Smash Brothers, and then Donkey Kong 64. I think there was a handful of others, but those Glover are the main ones.
Was one?
Yeah, Glover was one. Yep.
And then there was another one that because we talked about this on this show.
Yes, I'm trying to remember.
It was like a Fury something.
Scars. Yes, that's an acronym, SCARS, which I can't remember, super car aquatic robot, something like that. It's actually a pretty decent racing game that is kind of forgotten about. I am Yeah, I'm believing that this is what has happened here, is that those games are actually all going to happen. Super Smash Brothers finally going to come to NSO in some form.
Huge.
Now it's the N64 version, right? But that like shows that they're at least willing to do something with Smash Brothers on NSO. People will get their hopes up for Melee. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but they have Super Smash Brothers on N64 at least, pretty cool.
Now there is some logic in putting the 64 version out first if they want to throw online multiplayer in there as well as a bit of a testing ground, because people, if they put Melee on the GameCube side, they're going to want online multiplayer as well. Well, whether that will run well remains to be seen. Smash Brothers and online play don't exactly mesh, so we'll see. But just the fact that they're bringing back that beautiful mess that is the original Super Smash Brothers makes me very, very happy. And I don't know anything about Forsaken other than the cover art. That's face with a
Dan saying Forsaken has the most memorable box art for the least memorable game, and
that is correct.
I wouldn't call the game the least memorable, but I will agree that the box art is like the least associative with the gameplay ever in this game, where it's like it's a lady with a tattoo, and then you play as a ship flying around in a descent-like game in 360 degrees. It's nothing. One has nothing to do with the other, and that I think many more people remember the Forsaken box art and the ads in magazines than they remember the actual game. It's a decent game though, and it's pretty neat to see. I was playing it the other day. Actually, I was playing the Night Dive version on my Steam Deck. Okay. Yeah, the remaster, which is that of course probably play the remaster. Going back to N64 games is tough for a lot of people, but I'll check this out. I will.
God bless Night Dive, man. Just remaster everything.
Yeah, for sure. Just let them do it all. Like no barriers. Let them, whatever they want to do, people should let them do.
Yeah.
All right. PS5 Digital Edition reportedly getting surprise downgrade in Europe. This is from Darren Bonthus at GameSpot. Video game consoles typically become cheaper the longer they've been on the market, but the current generation has been the exception to that rule due to various factors. Over in Europe, prospective PS5 owners might have to settle for a Sony console that offers even less, as it has been reported that the internal SSD capacity is being shrunk so that Sony can avoid raising the price of the hardware yet again. According to leaker Bill Kuhn, the PS5 Digital Edition SSD will shrink from 1 terabyte to 825 gigabytes, starting with the next console's Chassis E revision when it's available to purchase starting September 13. As Bill Kuhn noted, PS5 Digital Edition consoles originally sold for $400 when they launched in 2020, with them price increasing to 450 euros and 499 euros, around $582 eventually. The regular PS5 console with a disk drive is expected to retain its 1 terabyte SSD. So if that 825 gigabyte number sounds like, wait, why does that sound familiar? The PS5 launched with a 825 gigabyte SSD. If you remember, like Mark Cerny talking about how that was like this perfect number for the kind of SSD that they were using, and they were really happy with that. Well, eventually they revised everything and put a 1 terabyte into all of the models. I think that was like the lowest available size. Sounds like they're going back to those 825 gigabyte modules because of costs. And it's this is shrinkflation. This is put less in the box. It's the same box in every way, and charge the same price for it. And it's essentially the same as inflation. This is another way to increase the price. It's a shame to see, but also maybe like preferable to raising it another $50. I don't know. What do you think?
It's less noticeable, I think. Yeah. I think people buying a brand new PlayStation at the current price would sacrifice this amount of storage space, because that's all it is. It's storage space. It's not, you're not going to experience the sticker shock of $50 more on the price tag. You're not going to.
They've already done multiple times, right? That
right,
increase,
exactly. Yeah. You're not going to have that barrier become stronger. So if there is a way to do it without making that ticket price go up, fine. But if the storage gets any lower than this, then we have a problem, right?
Like they would just raise the price again.
Yeah. I think they would, and it is unfortunately just another indication of where we are at the moment. It's so weird to see. This may be the first console generation ever where the mid-generation update is actually going lower than how it launched. Yeah. It's so bizarre to see like stuff like this and price increases and things like that. It's just where things are at the moment. And as it says further here, the tariff rates on countries where the PS5 is produced, 30% in China, 15% in Japan, 20% in Vietnam, and 19% in Malaysia, has forced their hand in doing this. Not much more you can say about that, huh? It's
Yep.
It's
well, I
just
mean, you could say that the tariffs were ruled to be illegal, and his reasoning for it, like, yeah, but I mean, when has that stopped this president and this government? It's not. So they will they'll take it to the Supreme Court, which don't have high hopes for that mattering, and that them being able to come and rule and say, yeah, of course, this emergency declaration was just made up bullshit, which everyone knows it was just made up bullshit. But we like this one, so we are going to say he's allowed to do it. That's the kind of Supreme Court we have. So, yeah, it's one of these things. And other things, it's like, hey, we try to go to games because it feels like something we can control, and yet this is another thing that, in a lot of ways, is out of our control and directly in the control of some of the worst people in the world. Yes. And that's not going to change anytime soon. Rumors suggest that Resident Evil Requiem could be heading to the Switch 2. This is from Ollie Reynolds at Nintendo Life. The Resident Evil series has seen pretty strong representation on the Switch, but it's perhaps safe to say that fans aren't best pleased with some titles being relegated to, quote, cloud versions. We're still waiting to see whether Capcom is keen to re-release Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 3, Resident Evil 7, and Resident Evil Village natively on the Switch 2, but for now, it seems the company is potentially considering bringing its latest entry to Nintendo's new hardware. Resident Evil Requiem is due for release on the 27th of February 2026, and according to Dust Golem, who has been known to leak Resident Evil news prior to official announcements, and someone we've had a lot of rumors from recently, just stop real quick. We never know if these rumors are real. We're usually using them as jumping off points for our conversation. So we're not trying to monger too much and he's saying this, and it's like, I can't believe what this is going to mean. It's like, well, what could this mean if this is really happening? I'll say that from this perspective, Jason, that I expect Capcom to get pretty serious about the Switch 2 based on the circumstantial evidence of their most recent talk with investors, where the CEO was basically saying, man, that Switch 2 is selling really well. No one asked him about it. Someone was asking about Monster Hunter Wilds, and he started talking about how well the Switch 2 is selling. To me, that sounds like a company that is looking at the landscape, looking at their lineup of games, and saying to themselves, if we focused on the Switch 2 and then brought everything to the PlayStation 5, instead of doing things in the reverse order of making everything for the PlayStation 5 and then reversing it to the Switch 2, I think they're looking at it like, if we did it the other way, Switch 2 to everywhere else, what would be the downside? And I think the only downside might be that the visuals aren't as extremely beautiful as they possibly could be, but I also don't think that there's any reason to assume they couldn't scale up the RE engine when they go from the Switch 2 to the PC or whatever, so that they could still sell these games on the visuals. This sounds right to me. Does it sound right to you?
Absolutely, and they have hard evidence in the Street Fighter 6 sales figures, right? They have to be happy with the Switch 2 sales figures of that game. They have a game at launch, and it did pretty well, as far as I know. So I think that they see that, and they're like, okay, we made this work, and it works the way it works equally, if not exactly 100-1 with the top consoles on the market right now. How can we do that with the rest of our portfolio? And RE Requiem would be a great litmus test for that, I think, because they're already in development right now. If they can do it with a game that's currently in development and release all at once, I think that would be better suit their strategies in the long run. I do think, though, as far as their franchises are concerned, I don't think they would port Monster Hunter Wilds.
I don't think. No, I think that's not going to work.
No, I think they would make another Rise.
Yes,
right.
And I think they would treat Rise, this new Rise, as this opportunity to sort of fix all of these problems of address the issues that people had with Monster Hunter Wilds in terms of the way that it's built, not just its performance, but in the ways of sanding off the edges and these open world aspect that people maybe don't love. And it's like actually that introduced some complications to just getting in there and hunting monsters, which people want to do repeatedly. And it's like, this wasn't so conducive to that. It's like, so let's go back to the Switch 2, rethink some stuff, and treat that as the future of Monster Hunter going forward. And they have kind of like a free second chance here to take what they learned from Wilds and apply it to the Switch 2 version of whatever they end up doing, a Rise 2. And at the same time, building the future of Monster Hunter in such a way that it can be the Rise model. I think them looking side by side at how Rise did and how Wilds has done, and they're like, Rise continues to sell really well, and that started on the Switch and then went to PC, and people love it on PC, and there's no complaints about the visuals really. And the performance is fantastic. And why don't we just do that for the future of this game that has always been the most successful on handhelds? And I don't know what the answer to that would be, other than graphics sell, so we want to have the best possible graphics. And I'm just like, it doesn't seem to have hurt Rise, and Rise looks great.
No.
So I think that's what's going to happen here. Again, that's what you were saying. Does that sound right?
Yeah, I think they have an opportunity to use the Switch 2 as a bit of an experimentation platform. They can make this, as you said, they can try new wild ideas on the Switch 2 Monster Hunter and see if they work, and then they become part of the future of the franchise. Yeah, that makes perfect sense to me. Now, as far as Requiem is concerned, part of this rumor too is that it may also launch on the PS4. So if they figure out a way to get it on the PS4, I think that port or whatever, that translation to Switch 2 would be much easier, right? It would be the PS4 version, which is also how I think Street Fighter 6 worked out, because that is on the PS4 as well.
Yeah,
I believe. So that if they're going to keep, but then you're eventually going to run into, you're going to keep making these games for older platforms. When do you start innovating for potentially the next generation, whatever the hell that looks like? So it's an interesting situation they find themselves in. But if there's going to be one company that I hear this about that I'm going to have the utmost confidence in, especially recently, it's got to be Capcom. Right? They're just firing. Everything they do, it seems to be just the right decision. Whatever they're drinking in that office is everybody's brain is firing on all cylinders.
It's Shiramate, actually. They're just drinking what Lionel Messi drinks before a soccer game. Yeah.
There it is. And it's not 100%. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying everything they do is perfect, but they just have a lot more wins than they do losses. If they could convince the press and now hands-on folks that Pragmata can actually be good 5 years after it was announced and went completely silent, something's going on over there. That something's right over there. So we'll see what goes on with this, but being able to play Requiem on my Switch 2 would be great. Still not going to do it, as we talked about earlier with Cronos, but it would be great for the people who want it.
Yep. Yeah. I'm hopeful that they can just sort of shift things over in a direction where it's like they could support Switch 2 going forward without much of a headache and with decent performance, but we'll see if they're able to pull that off.
And one last thing, chat reminds me, I would be remiss to talk about Capcom and not mention Kunitsugami. I feel like I have
of
to
course,
do that.
yeah.
That's it.
The Kunitsugami company, Capcom, yeah.
It's them.
I need to get back to that game. I played a lot of it. I really enjoyed what I played of it, for sure.
You really do. It's awesome.
Super Mario Party Jamboree gets resolution bump on Nintendo Switch 2. At least that's what people think is happening here with this patch. This is my Nintendo news. Nintendo has announced that it has updated Super Mario Party Jamboree, and the update sees the base Super Mario Party Jamboree now running at 1080p on both handheld and docked mode on Nintendo Switch 2. Sadly, this still isn't obviously 4K where the base game is played docked, or when the base game is played docked, but it's a start. Here's the full patch notes, but it kind of just repeats that. I think people are like, trying to figure this out. It's like, wait, maybe it always ran at 1080p in the docked mode, and now it just also runs at 1080p in handheld mode on the Switch 2 that has the 1080p screen. But either way, it got a little bit of attention, especially after people noticed it's like, oh, you bought this expansion for Jamboree, this $20 expansion for the Switch 2, and it only provides visual upgrades, for the expansion content and did not apply to the original game. And that was pretty frustrating because that's not how it worked for any of these other games. And, I guess I don't know how important it is for Mario Party to be perfect, but if you're paying that extra money, why are they not doing the extra work? That was frustrating.
Yeah, the only person I think this applies to is Dan Reichert. So maybe he can unleash his hell at a nicer resolution now to the unwitting people he plays with.
Less squinting, you can make out the Bowser Revolution now. Yeah. All right, last couple of stories here. Call of Duty is getting a movie from Paramount. Call of Duty, Paramount. Paramount has the rights here after this film to expand the Call of Duty universe into multiple films and TV shows. I guess my only real question here to you, Jason Fanelli, is: do you think people buying Call of Duty every year in droves, in the millions, translates into this movie being a success just based on that fact?
my heart says no, but my head says yeah, probably, because it defies logic. This is one of those examples where being so connected to this industry and following it so closely as we do, we kind of lose sight of the casual Call of Duty player. That game is just as ubiquitous as sports games as the casual player, where that's the only game the person buys every year. So if they see a movie with Call of Duty in the name and there is any reference at all to characters from that franchise, be it Price or Soap or Ghost or whoever, they might go, oh shit, let's see what is going on. Now, granted, will it be any different than any other war action film? Probably not. Are the games different from each other? Not really. Sorry, guys. I like playing them, but it's the same thing every year. So I think there is logic here to say that this will be successful based on name alone. And again, like if they show some recognizable faces, that would be great. Now, when I say recognizable faces, I mean Call of Duty in universe. I don't expect Seth Rogen and Beavis and Butthead and WWE wrestlers to show. I mean, a WWE wrestler
that would fucking own. Holy shit! The Call of Duty TV show. That's just like I don't know. Like, what would be the comparison? Like Clone High, like just all the different. Whatever. That would be amazing.
MTV's Celebrity Deathmatch, but Call of Duty, they're in this. Yeah, that'd be awesome. But this is also the same company that did Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves, which took this property and made a movie that had the IP, but also played around with it a little bit. Do I think Call of Duty is going to get silly? No, but the potential is there, right?
I think the potential is definitely there. I think if this movie comes out and strikes tone like Top Gun of fun military storytelling, it'll do really well. I do wonder, though, about the idea of Call of Duty inherently just being able to bring people in, because when I think of Call of Duty, I think of millions of people buying the game, not playing the story mode that is in the game, and just going right to the multiplayer. And so I'm wondering if, like, is that such a big portion of the audience that it's like, actually, no, they don't care about even the story that comes with the game that they already bought. That's not, they're here for one reason. It's to get online with their friends and shoot stuff. And that's not what the movie's going to be about. It'll be about other people shooting things, but they won't be able to do it. And that's what they care about. That's why they buy the game. But I think, when you mentioned like Price and some of those characters, Soap McTavish and Mason, Alex Mason, I know there's a lot of people in our audience who can be like, what are you talking about? Those are names that do actually register with that casual audience. You're right.
Exactly. And they could pull in not only the people who are still playing it, but the nostalgic people who played it back in the day. And they're like, oh, if they follow the story of Call of Duty 4, that rules. And then they'll see the movie based on that. They apparently have data that we don't that suggests this is a good idea. Let's see if they're right.
Yeah, I mean, and they, these big companies, Paramount, they love licensing IP that have succeeded in other places. So whether that's books or comics or video games now.
Yep.
And Call of Duty's one that's succeeded. So now it's on them to make something entertaining. And I think a Top Gun would be fine. Like military propaganda, whatever. I get it. Let's just make it fun. Make it better than War of the Worlds. And people won't care that it's military propaganda.
Listen, if there's going to be a drone in the movie, it better be an Amazon drone delivering.
Well, you got to make an Amazon order before I could save the world, please. I think Star Wars Outlaws looks fine on Switch too. That's the headline from me, who watched the video from VGC today, where they posted like the first hour. They did a first play, one of their things where they start the game up and just play it from the beginning. And just last night, there was a video going around showing off Star Wars Outlaws looking really good on Switch 2 compared to what people were saying it looked like in handheld mode. So people were streaming it in docked mode, and this video went up, and Ubisoft copyright struck it as it was like changing the narrative around the game. Everyone's like, this looks way better than people were saying, and Ubisoft got rid of that video. Well, now more videos are popping up, it seems like, with the blessing of Ubisoft. And I watched quite a bit of Star Wars Outlaws here running on the Switch 2, and it looks fine. Like, I think it looks more than acceptable. It is a pretty decent pretty decent recreation of that game for handheld in a way that I just think, like, at least in dock mode, I would find this acceptable at the price that they're charging for this game. We'll see what it's like in handheld. Maybe that's where all the problems really are happening. I'll say at the same time, Jason, maybe none of the words I've said about this have mattered at all, because as a reminder, this game is coming out the same day as Hollow Knight Silksong. So who's going to play this?
They'll play it in November or
You're
something.
right, when it's on sale.
when it's on sale and they're done. They're putting this out for the holiday season, I think, too. And you have said, you were on record last year when this came out of saying this is one of those games that will get better the longer, or will have a more positive.
It's going to get reassessed, yeah.
Outlook the longer it's out. So
Yep.
I think this only supports that, right?
Yep.
That only strengthens that argument. And I think getting a legion of Switch 2 people who can play it on the go, who don't have the PC, the handheld PC, I think this makes a lot of sense. So yeah, I was watching that too as it was up here. Does look a little bit better than I expected as well. We'll see what happens, but yeah, good luck getting around Silksong. Sorry, y'all.
Yep. I will. I don't know if the handheld stuff is comparable to what we see in this video of it running in docked mode. I probably will try it out on the Switch too.
Sure.
I asked for code. I haven't heard anything back, but then again, I lost all my Ubisoft contacts when I lost my old email. So I'm like, am I even reaching out to the right person? Maybe I'm not. All right. Well, that's out. That's out tomorrow, along with Silksong. That does it for the headlines. But before we move on, like, do you have a plan of attack for Silksong? Are you playing that right away, or did you play the original Hollow Knight? Where are you at with that series?
I got halfway through the first one on PlayStation, then dropped it. So I just bought it again on Steam to play on the Legion Go. And then when I beat it, I'll get right into Silksong probably. Mainlining it is probably not a good idea, and it will probably take me the rest of the year based on my availability for playing video games. But I'm going to try, damn it, because just the hype alone has me interested. I do slightly worry, and I hesitate to say this out loud, lest the Silksong former clowns come after me. This was supposed to be an expansion that turned into a full-blown sequel, and I worry that means that the gameplay will be more iterative than it will expandatory, whatever the fucking word is. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, so it'll be less innovative. There it is, innovative. Jesus Christ, I can't talk today. But
we just did a lot of talking. You're free. Just do what you make up new words.
It's Roblox's fault. But yeah, I worry that it's going to be more of a sidestep or a slight rise than the expansion or the full sequel expansion that people would be worried or would want.
Right. The term we use around here, like, yeah, Sean's saying, is like an expand alone versus a full-on sequel or something like that. Is this was this starting as an expansion and still is at that heart an expansion? My guess here is it certainly started that way, and it grew in enough ways that we're going to notice it's going to feel massive in some ways, the comparison to the original Hollow Knight.
I could see that happening too, and I think that will be more impactful for people who did not immediately go and restart Hollow Knight once it was confirmed it was coming out tomorrow, 2 weeks ago. Yeah. If they held off and they're like, I just want to get right into Silksong, I already played Hollow Knight, just waiting for another one. This is more of like a nitpick worry for me. I just think that's a game this hyped and a game that has been on the radar for so long. There are going to be people who are going to look for every excuse in the book to nitpick the hell out of this thing. And that, I think, is going to be a potential lane. I'm still very excited. I still am excited to see people who love this franchise to get what they want and to see gameplay videos and reactions and things like that. Very, very much excited for it. There's a small part of me that thinks if there's going to be a massive critique, it may be in that might be the plan of attack. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
I definitely, yes, I think it's primed for that sort of thing. I think that's why, a lot of these games like this, ones that are hyped for this year, people are very excited about. They will actually, like when the Game of the Year stuff comes, which, it's a made up thing. But it's something I like talking about. Expedition 33 is going to have an advantage kind of against all of them because it's fresh, new, surprising, and fantastic. And, all these other ones will be like, it's maybe actually fresh and exciting and fantastic, but it is still pretty similar to that thing I loved before, and people will use that as a way to like sort of just hold these other games back. So I continue to think Expedition 33 guaranteed lock for Game of the Year. All right, let's see. No poll question because we did the Bomb 12. Let's remind everybody, you go to the Bomb 12 and check it out on giantbomb.com, and you can find a link to the forum where you can tell me what your game of this week is. If you want to wait until it's Silksong, that's fine. I'll give you guys some time tomorrow before we finalize anything. So maybe come tomorrow, go to giantbomb.com, check out the blog post for the Bomb 12, find the link to the forum at the bottom of that blog post. Tell me what you're playing at that point. For now, however, we do have a new poll question that we'll get to in a second. before we do that, Jason Fanelli, why don't you tell people where they can find you on the internet, what you have going on, all that good stuff.
I am jasonfanelli.com on Blue Sky, Big Man Fanelli everywhere else. Sort of in a weird little lull right now as far as content is concerned. I kind of want to do, I have to say, you've inspired me, Jeff. Those little monologue videos that you do every once in a while about certain topics. I have one cooking. I don't know the time. Having time is the issue, but I have one cooking in my head about, of course, Magic the Gathering. Spider-Man cards were revealed on Friday.
Yeah.
Everybody was really excited about them. They look really, really cool. And then about a half hour after the reveal went live, I thought to myself, I'm not going to be able to get any of these things because they revealed where you can collect all these, and all those like spectacular Spider-Mans that had the red suit, the black suit, the MEO, the smiling man suit with the bag on his head. They're all in collector boosters. Right? The ones that look like comic books, they're all in collector boosters. And the collector booster boxes are pre-ordering at $950 because there's no MSRP on them.
That's too many dollars.
That's too many dollars. I should not be paying $1,000 for 12 packs of 15 cards. I should not be doing
so. Whenever this comes up, when I'm talking to maybe the biggest card freak I know, Sean McDowell, he says he doesn't ever buy packs. He buys the cards individually. Is that Singles. Is that a fair alternative here? If
you're buying, yeah. I mean, yeah. If it's the smarter way to go. You find the cards that you want, even if the singles are more expensive. If you just like the art, you buy that single and you don't worry about packs. He's smart, man. He's a smart boy. He's a smart boy. I, however, I'm surprised I haven't fallen susceptible to any games with loot boxes because that's basically what
you need to crack them packs. Yeah,
I need to crack them packs. It's a lot of fun. But yeah, my local game store has not released their pre-order prices yet, but I worry because as a market price right now for a 12 packs of 12 collector booster packs of 15 cards, over $900, and that to me is absurd.
That's insane.
It's insane. And it's getting to the point now where the packs cost so much that you can never come out ahead. Even if you pull the rarest card in the set, right? You're still not going to break. You're not going to come out ahead because you paid so much to get in. So I don't know how many packies I'm going to be cracking when this comes. And you can't even depend on the retail sites who focus on the MSRP. It's a nice reminder that MSRP stands for suggested retail price because they sell out immediately to the bots. And then the scalpers get them. And then here we go again. My local game store, when Final Fantasy came out, their collector booster boxes were $300 over what MSRP should be. They were, I think, $699, $700 for 12 packs. So it sucks. So I have that cooking in my brain.
Well, yes, I would love to see that. You should do that. And I know some people on this call right now that will be interested in your take on that. So,
but speaking of MagicCon end of the month, I will be there. I did get confirmation of that. I will be in Hotlanta, slinging some cards and playing some games. So if you're there, let's play some cards. Let's have some fun.
Excellent. All right, let's get to that poll question. Are you getting Silksong this week? Yes or no? So this is it. It's the last time we can ask that question. You guys, that game's out tomorrow, so we'll get the results on tomorrow's show here on Giant Bomb. Speaking of Giant Bomb, it is Wednesday. Oh my God, I'm so excited. It's a new season. I'm done. Although I love Trespasser. I did love it. It's always the most exciting on Blight Club to be the furthest you can possibly be away from playing a game. That's where I am right now. And we get to see Mike in his costume for Virtual Hide or Minati.
Virtual Hide Mike.
Yes, God. Yeah, it's got a bunch of bad names. Either way, that is starting today. Let me double check the time that we put on here. I think it's 2 p.m. Yes, 2 p.m. Eastern time. That'll be 11 a.m. Pacific. You're not going to want to miss it. The costume reveal is going to be magnificent. I cannot wait. I think I got him an adult size. I hope I did. But if I didn't, it'll be even funnier. So we're gonna see here in a little bit. Looking forward to that.
We're about to see more than Mitch's feet, aren't we?
It's gonna be he's gonna look so cool and hot. So yeah. Don't miss that, 2 p.m. Blight Club. And then, tonight, that's right. It's going to be a Wega Man. Mitch is going to own Wednesdays. He's going to be playing Anno 117. He's a huge fan of those Anno games, which are like the relaxing city building ones from Ubisoft. And so he's going to be playing that at 8 p.m. That's going to be Wednesday evening gaming at Mike's at night. And yeah, Anno 117. And then we'll be back tomorrow with all our regular stuff, including Game S Mornings. All right, Jason, thank you so much for hanging out with me today and talk about video games, man. I really appreciate it.
Happy to do it. Go Birds.
Yep, go Lions. Good luck to your team this season. I want everyone to stay healthy. I want a healthy football season for everyone involved, so I don't have to feel bad while watching this stupid sport. Thanks for watching. Oh yeah, go ahead, please.
I forgot to ask you in the beginning. What's your fantasy team name? This is important.
God, I was the 24 Mile Murderers because that's where I grew up in Detroit. 24 Mile. Let me see here. I did just have it. I mean, let me bring it up. I'm gonna look it up. What's your name?
My auction league, the theme is Doom, the game Doom. So I'm the Romero heads, and my picture is the Romero head from Doom 2 behind the icon of sin. And then in my other league, I am the Savannah Bonanzas.
Oh, I like that. That's good. I'm a unnecessary grubness is what
I like that. That's a good one.
Yeah, I kind of just force grub in there every once in a while. All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. You are the best audience in gaming. Until next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye.
On